Good afternoon, YouTube. So today we have the 1986 944 Turbo, or 951 as many call it. This car has been sitting outside for 15 years. It was in a storage facility for a little bit of time, but it did get moved out as costs went up. So we were able to see a lot of rust spotting on the hood, mostly, and then a little bit on the wiper arms, which is not a big deal. You can see that the hood's rusted and discoloration around the badge. And then up here we have our first dent, and over here our second dent. And I'm not sure what caused those, but right here on the hood we see two stripes, and that's from when the car was shipped from Washington State to Ohio. The car transporter dropped another car on top and scraped two lines in the hood. So it does suck, but we should be able to get body filler in and then repaint the car. I got it out of Ohio last week, and I can't be more happy to start working on a turbo. So under the hood, the engine's again not been turned over by hand or by crank in 15 years. It did run while it sat, or before it sat for a prolonged time, but since then it's not really been touched. It's just sat outside. One of the first things we'll do is we'll change out these fuel lines up top, and then we'll change out the fuel lines going from the rear. We'll add a new fuel pump, new fuel filter. We'll add spark cap rotor lines. Then we are redoing all the coolant lines, all the vacuum lines, air filters. Probably the brake booster will get pulled and changed because there is a lot of rust in there. We'll test all the electronics in the car, test the AC. Everything did work while it was parked, but the car just ended up sitting for a while as the owner didn't have time for it, and it ended up being abused. So now that it's in our possession, we plan on redoing everything. The door handle does get stuck a little bit, so we will try to fix that too. The interior is actually in fairly good condition. The seats don't have any rips. The rear seats are in great condition, and the spare is still in the car. We have to repair the sun visors with a new clip, but it does have the Club Sport steering wheel, which is very nice. I can't wait to be driving this. So some of the main things that we have to fix is the paint work. Throughout the car there's a lot of missing paint. As it sat outside, the sunroof does need the seal replaced. We're starting to see dry cracking in there, but hopefully we'll get a new one in there in the next few weeks. We will end up having to get a new windshield because on the passenger side there is a small crack down here, but that shouldn't be too bad, and of course we'll get a new seal in there and not have to worry about it. In the rear of the car we will make sure that this rubber's all good, get it cleaned up. I think it will need a new seal or some sealant, as we start to see some condensation. Here's the rusty wiper arm. But throughout the car there are a lot of the gaskets that are broken in here, and there's some overspray on the turbo badge. But all that stuff should not be a big deal, and we'll get it sorted right away. It's a little bit more rust right there. The rims are the stock phone dial wheels with, I believe, 16-inch rims, and they do have the original Porsche calipers on all sides. These are the script handles, and are in very good condition. Everything's bone stock in the car. I believe that the turbo in the car is still the K266 turbo, so we might be replacing that with a K26 or K26-8 in the future. And here's the side from the passenger. The seats are in good condition and do have play in them, so it's not super firm. There are no real damages to the door. We might change out speakers and the accessories. The sunroof, you can see, I think you can see, there's a little bit of water in there. It's because the header panel is actually ripped. So we will be changing that out too and basically going over the whole interior. In the center console, we will have to be putting in a new radio. I'm sorry about the lighting. I have not received a good light yet, or got a new camera. So, but in the next few videos, I hope to get a new camera here and get better pictures of the interior. Things like these can easily be sandblasted down, repainted, or set back to the original position or the original condition, and we will be doing that soon. There's not any mold in the car, which is good. I've had Porsches with tons of mold in them, and I ended up having to replace the whole interior, but hopefully we won't have to on this car. So the first thing of today is doing the fuel system and trying to get the car started up. I will be doing lines in a separate video, and I will be going over fuel pump, fuel filter. These lines right here are prone to cause fires. I had an 83, which the lines would have been coming out from around there and over the top of the engine. My 83s were dry rotted, and I did not know at the time that they were very prone to that. So when I was driving with my girlfriend over the summer on a back road, the line ended up breaking and sparking over the engine, causing a huge fire. I was able to pull off. We both got the car, and we watched the car burn. It wasn't for a while until we could find someone to call, as I did not have my cell phone, neither did she. So we had to wait for F-150 to come over and pick us up, which took probably about 5 minutes, and then we were able to get a squad car, and then the fire department. About 6 squad cars came out, and every one of them was a huge car fan, and they saw it as a 944, and of course wanted to come see it. And we talked for a while, and they were very helpful, and we got the car out. I was able to see and get all my personal items out, but it did go for auction on the insurance auction websites. And if you go through anything like eRepairables or Coparts or IAI, you're able to see these cars all the time, and a lot of them have burns on them, and you notice that right away as I've started doing more research on these cars, that burn-in from the engine is very common, and just because those fuel lines were so poorly built, and the rubber just gives out after 30 years, just like the clutch disc. I have a wall of clutch discs over here, and that's 3 or 4 of them that we've replaced, and all of them have just been shot. So that's another thing that will be going on in this car, is a new clutch. I'm probably going to redo a lot of the interior, but mostly we're focusing on the engine. It's got 80,000 miles on it, original miles, original turbo, all that. So we'll probably be going through a new head gasket, timing belt, water pump. It'll be a fully rebuilt car with all new lines, and I'll probably enjoy it for a few months, and then I'll look to sell it and start the next project. I do still have my 1986 NA non-turbo 944, and I have my 924S right now, which has a ton of stuff on it because we haven't been able to really work on it. Right now we're changing the clutch, and we went out through the engine, and we removed the engine out to the top of the car, changed clutch, and now we're getting it back in position. But we just didn't have a lot of time to work on this, and we hit a wall where we couldn't get the bell housing to line up again, so we have to drop the cross member, reposition it, and hopefully we'll get it all back together. We're changing the fuel lines on these, and these are the early model 1982 through 1985.1. That's the fuel system you'll have, and you'll trace those lines all the way back down here, and when you go to change those lines, you're going to have to go underneath the car, jack it up, and then you'll drop the lines out the bottom of the car by undoing the white clips. You'll slide those lines out from the top down. You'll then use the tools that come in the Lindsay kit, or you can buy your own kit. I encourage you to do your own research. Don't go off what I tell you, but go off what's recommended for your car, for your make, for your model, and get the right equipment you think is suitable. And if you're not comfortable doing that, please go to a professional. The professionals are so good. In our area, we have 2 or 3 professionals who did work for Porsche, and they are very helpful with everything. So if you do have any doubts in it, do not risk it. It is the lifeline of your car, and if you mess it up, your car will start on fire. Any leaks could be the end. Just like my 83, just one leak. For the first time it leaked, the leak was fatal, or fatal for the car, not for me, thank God. But definitely consider getting new lines as soon as possible. It's not, for the extra $170, $160 you're gonna spend on lines to do it yourself, or the $500 you'll spend for a professional to do it, it is beyond worth it, because these cars are becoming very few and far between, with only like 30, 35 for sale on eBay, and 36 for sale on Auto Trader and here and there on Craigslist. But as these cars become rarer, they're going up in value, and I don't want to see any more starting fire. If you follow my Instagram, LBGarage944, you're able to see my 83 with the broken fuel lines, and it is so heartbreaking to see the end of my car. So I hope that you're able to take away from this is that getting new fuel lines, getting all the dry rot lines out is very important for this build, for your build. I've talked to a lot of guys on Instagram. The Porsche community is so great. I love everyone I talk to, and I've made some really good friends and people who are interested in my build, and I'm very interested in their build. One guy's doing 924, I'm pretty sure it's an 80, and he's doing the engine out to the top, and it might be a later S model. He's doing the engine out to the top. He's doing a complete rebuild, and I love following his posts, and they're so great, and I love keeping up with everyone in the community. So I encourage you to follow me on social media, follow me on YouTube, subscribe, like, share, and hopefully we can get enough people to see the potential of these cars and start saving them. Like this one was saved from 15 years of neglect, and there's plenty more out there. That one sat and got the engine ripped out. This one sat for about a year. My old one sat for 4 years, and the one before that sat for 3 years. So I've never bought one that has not sat for at least a year, and I just love bringing these back to life and giving these to people who actually enjoy them and who have time to drive and maintain these. So please drop any comments down below. Subscribe to me on Instagram at LBGarage944, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.